Hi everybody, I'm Renee, and we're bringing you a birth story today. So I have my lovely friend Anastasia here with her 3-week-old Juliana. And Juliana was born here at the birth center. And Anastasia also has 2 older children, 2 boys. One was not born here, the second one was born here, and then little Juliana was born here.
Yep.
So she's going to tell us her story.
Yeah, they're all 3 very different because Levi, the oldest, was born in a hospital on a rainy day, really against my will. And
well, the intention for Levi was she was with a midwife initially, and you went in early.
I went in and I wasn't really in labor, it was just for a checkup, but she saw that I was leaking amniotic fluid. She did like the stress test.
She listened to the baby.
And his heart was decelerating.
Right.
So then she said risk.
Right. So whenever we get those decelerations in early labor, we know that baby probably shouldn't be born out of hospital, because if it's already having some indication that it's not tolerating labor and it's early and a first-time mom, we don't want to stress this baby out and keep it out of hospital and then have an emergency. So it sounds like you're an excellent midwife and made a decision very early to go in before there was a complication.
And it was great having her there because they were through the labor. They're like, we're preparing the operating room for a C-section, and then, oh no, you can labor. Oh no, we're preparing the operating room. Really stressful. But he came out.
Vaginal delivery, no C-section.
Mm-hmm. And
uncomplicated, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had epidural and a little bit of Pitocin, but it was stressful, but it wasn't complicated. Mm-hmm. No complications. And then Guy was born, baby number two, was born here in the water, and long drawn out labor.
Yeah. Unusual for a second baby. It was because we suspected that your water broke.
Well,
it really did break. Yeah. So I recall a video that she sent me, and she's standing in the kitchen, and there was a big puddle of water on the floor, and obviously that looks like amniotic fluid. It wasn't pee, because you know the difference if you pee or water comes out of your vagina. We know the difference between urine coming out of our urethra and water coming out of our vagina. They feel very different. So it looked like water and behaved like water, so therefore it must be water.
But there was no labor, no contractions, nothing happening. I was cooking dinner. It was like 5 p.m. Like I felt the balloon, drop and then gushed water. So I was like, "Yeah, it's happening." Yeah. I called you first, and then I called some friends. I'm like, "Yeah, it's happening," but nothing was happening. They were just like Braxton Hicks. So you told me to go to bed. I went to bed. Nothing during the night, and then I woke up, and when I would walk, I would have stronger contractions, and then it was only when I was walking.
Yeah. So now we're at 12 hours is 5 a.m. We're getting to 18 hours. We're getting to 20 hours. And hi, you guys. Hey, we're just going to finish doing this quick thing. I'll see you in there. 18 hours. We're getting up there in these hours, and we're still not having a labor pattern. Now remember, 90% of women will go into labor within 24 hours of their water breaking. So this is not an abnormal finding. Baby's doing great. The fluid is clear. Mom doesn't have a fever. So we don't have any real concerns, except we really would like labor to start.
Yeah. And I got here, I think, around 11.
Yeah.
I was still really early, so we went walking, trying to get this labor going. Anyway, it didn't go. But active labor was like, are you asleep?
You're asleep.
Active labor was about 4 hours, I think.
Actually, once you started going, so what happened, I remember, we were just about at the 24-hour mark, and we're like, okay, well, our protocol is at 24 hours. We transport usually because, we're expecting this labor to happen. Like I said, 90% of women will go into labor, but if they don't, we know the likelihood of them going into labor starts to decrease kind of exponentially. And again, we don't want to risk mom and baby. We don't want to get an infection. We want to make sure everybody is safe. So we also want to make sure that our transfer into our local hospital is sort of uncomplicated and sort of adhering to sort of their, we don't want to freak anybody out at the hospital. Yeah. So I called our OB and I said, this is what we have. And he said, I trust that you'll come in if there's a need to come in.
Yeah.
And so we were like, all right. We did give the castor oil drink.
Oh, yeah.
But like the big old castor oil drink, not our new castor oil drink.
I was like, give it to me. Whatever's going to
big
help.
old castor oil drink, right. And then at 24 hours, boom,
Active
game
labor.
on.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't the castor oil that did it,
No, it
because
wasn't.
the castor oil didn't have an effect until much, much later. Till after the baby was born, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the castor oil that caused the labor. You just, at about 24 hours, the body said, oh,
let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So then I ended up really wanting to get in the water. I had a beautiful, like, all of the stress put aside of the waiting and the, are we going to transfer or not? Putting that aside, and like, if I wasn't exhausted from walking, like the actual labor, getting into the tub, having him, pushing him out within a few contractions, it was great, but my body was over exhausted.
I mean, there was quite a bit of effort going into getting yourself into labor. Your legs were tired.
Yeah.
It was a little too much emphasis on
looking back, I should have just relaxed
chilled out. Yeah.
and waited. Just sit and wait, and wait.
But there's anxiety that builds up, and we're
And I didn't
starting
want
to
transfer.
worry.
I was like, I'm not going to transfer again. There's no way I'm going to transfer.
Right.
Yeah, I was a little impatient.
So that was Guy, beautiful water birth here.
And then this little, whole idea wasn't supposed to happen. We were done with 2, but convinced, with the help of my 6-year-old, convinced my husband to try again.
Yeah.
And so the pregnancy was great, and I was like, I remember one of the last things I said before I came back in labor. I was like, I really want to do it right this time. And you're like, there is no right. And I was like, but I want it to be right.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like I made mistakes with the other ones. Not just being so, not knowing what labor is like with the first, and then being impatient with the second. And so with Juliana, her due date was the 16th, and 16th, 17th, 18th went by, and I was really patient, making time of my free time. And then, like 4:30 in the morning, I started feeling like these are real contractions. And I called you, and we're like, third baby, don't know.
Babies are wild card babies, so you never really know.
So I got up and started moving around to see if positioning would change the strong contractions, and they didn't. So by 6 o'clock, I called you, and I was like, I'm coming.
And I was like, all right, come on in.
And so we're here, and these are strong contractions, but looking back, trying to compare them with Levi and Guy's labor, I couldn't. So I didn't really have a reference to know like how far into the labor I was. It felt pretty active, but I was still in control.
Very lucid. It's one of our indicators for labor. She was like, hi, good morning, came in with the kids and her husband, and still pretty put together. And when you had a contraction, you sort of stopped and had a minute, and then popped right back into your normal smiley, perfect self. So that's an indicator that
You're a little
not
early.
quite sure. It could be a little bit early.
Yeah, and I did not want to be here all day. I wanted to just, come in and do this. So we go back, and you check me, and I was like, don't tell me I'm 1 centimeter.
Yeah.
But you're like, you're 3.
Not 1, but you're 3.
I'm like, what? Like, I'm not going to do this again, because I felt like I came here so early with Guy.
And I was like, well, it's a little bit early, and
She said, do you want to go walk? Do you want to go walk?
Yeah, this may or may not continue.
Yeah.
And Anastasia, you're really unique in that you've done a lot of work, emotional work. You're really clear, really awesome. And I was telling someone this story. You were so intentional. And you're going to say that, whatever that term is.
Oh, my mantra in my life is commitment without attachment.
Commitment without attachment.
I was kind of committed to doing it right. Not that you can do something right, but I was committed to just surrendering and letting my body happen without me doing anything.
Right. Surrendering to this whole process without being attached to the result.
Yeah.
Is really, really key.
Yeah,
it's so key.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. So it was like 6 o'clock when we got here. You asked me if I wanted to go walking. I was like, oh God, no, I'm not walking. I can't walk. So you left me in the room, and I was on the bed, and
we were just out here. We didn't totally abandon.
No, yeah. But it was great. I wanted to be alone. But when you left and I was in the room, my friend had given me a necklace of a lotus flower, and she said, when she gave it to me, she said, think of your body opening up like a flower. And honestly, that just kept going on in my brain. And I was like holding the necklace, and she was, head down, and I put my hand on her butt, And I was talking to her, and I said, we're going to do this. And we're going to do this together. And, like, the next contraction, I was like, I'm making this 3 centimeter turn to 10. And I
Not recommended, just saying. Don't do that at home.
I was pushing her down, like, with each contraction. And I think it was maybe, like, 10 or 15 more contractions before she came out.
Yeah. So we were out here, and we were talking with your husband, and the boys were out here, and her boys are just fantastic. And we're like, well, we'll see how this goes. Kids were having breakfast, and then your mom came, and we didn't know how long it would be. So your mom, she took the kids out, and the minute they walked out the door, Anastasia, we could hear her make a sound.
Yeah,
and we were suddenly like,
really
oh,
I was like,
that's a good sound. And then we went in and we looked at her, and she made a couple more really good sounds. And then you said, "This baby's coming."
Yeah.
This baby's coming. And she was kneeling on the bed. And then really, her birth time was what time?
8:30.
8:30. They came in at 6. Wow. She was 3, weren't really sure if she was going to stay. And she was like, yeah, I'm not having any part of that business. So we're just going to have a baby here. Left her alone.
Yeah.
And then there she was.
Yeah.
And you reached down, you could feel her coming out.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah.
And the recovery was incredible. It was like, she came out, and I think because she came out so quickly and I didn't resist it, I felt so good. And, it's been 3 weeks, and she had a little bit of a cold.
Yeah.
You can hear her breathing poorly from Levi and Guy.
The big boys.
But,
and then we called her mom. Your mom came, and her mom had just left. She's like, what do you mean the baby's here? And then the boys came back, and the baby was here, and it was, and then we did the newborn, and the kids were involved, and it was really beautiful.
So special. Yeah. And I feel like I got it right.
So now she can have a few more.
Yeah. Definitely.
There's that. Hopefully they will.
I hope so.
So that's Anastasia's birth story, you guys.
Yeah,
so I think the big takeaway from that story is commitment.
Commitment
without attachment. So there was this real commitment to, like, okay, I'm really intentional. I'm going to be in this moment. I'm going to surrender. But you know what? We're going to have this baby. And there was a difference. It wasn't this controlling, like, I'm going to have the baby today. Because you did that the last time with Guy. Like, my water's broke. Oh, by the way, the whole thing where we say we're pretty sure her water broke because your water actually fully broke. Again. So a lot of times we think the water's broken and there's this 4 bag. But then we had a full, complete rupture of the membranes before he was born.
Yep.
So, and we're like, oh my gosh, well, there's the water.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a bulging bag when I checked you or something.
We checked
so the water really wasn't technically broken. Yeah. But so there's all this, like, okay, my water's broken. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go walking. I'm going to lunge. I'm going to curb walk. I'm going to do all these things to get labor going. Well, you could do that all day long. And you can't really make labor happen. And this third time with Juliana, it was this sense of, like, this texture to your commitment, yet totally surrendering to however it went. It was really really great. It was such a beautiful display of surrendering to what your body was doing. Yeah. So that's Anastasia's story.
Do it again. Yeah. That's the first thing I thought of when she came. I was like, wow, I really want to do it again.
Right.
So it becomes whole baby.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be this scary, fearful thing that goes on. Your body works. It went into labor when it was ready. She took her time coming into the pelvis. It just, it works most of the time. So, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Thanks.